Residents in a D.C. community are seeing red over a stop sign camera that's been there for years. The News 4 I-Team found a nearly 2,000% jump in tickets. Investigative reporter Jody Fleischer spoke with neighbors who questioned whether that camera is really there to slow people down or to make D.C. some fast money.
In this Petworth neighborhood of Northwest D.C., the News 4 I-Team made plans to talk with one neighbor and just look at the crowd that showed up.
It's making people angry. It's making people avoid the area.
Kim Lockett knows from experience.
Well, the first time I got a ticket, I paid the ticket.
But she says just days later, a second ticket.
I know I stopped.
And then a third one came in the mail. All from this stop sign camera at Kansas Avenue and Buchanan Street.
I'm still confused as to how the whole thing works.
And she's not the only one.
I've received 2 tickets on the same day.
It just seems like it's really inconsistent or not operating in the way that it should.
The city first installed the camera back in 2013. With a church and a school nearby, the neighbors requested it. But this past June, the district upgraded to a new camera that can reset quicker and catch more cars.
I came to a complete stop.
David Zizzenio questions whether the city also increased the camera's sensitivity. He's president of the Petworth Action Committee.
If cars have stopped and come to a complete stop, it's still taking the picture. We see it. Our neighbors have seen it.
And our I-Team camera caught it too. Watch as it flashes once when this gray SUV approaches the stop line. The driver waits 4 seconds before driving through, yet the camera flashes again. Same with this silver car. A 4-second stop at the line and the flash still goes off.
That doesn't make any sense.
Fines for running a stop sign are pricey, starting at $100. The I-Team found in the last 2 months of 2019, this camera had just over 450 tickets. Compare that to the same time in 2020, almost 9,000 tickets, a whopping 1,800% increase.
You cannot say when you hear those numbers that we don't have a problem on our hands. The community doesn't have a problem.
DC's Department of Transportation declined our request for an on-camera interview, but suggested a switch from just daytime operation to 24 hours may have caused the jump in tickets, saying the camera is operating accurately. Neighbors say no way.
I was walking the other day and I noticed the camera was just flashing.
In this letter to residents, DDOT said the video camera activates if a car is approaching the stop sign at a speed that might prevent it from coming to a full and complete stop, which the district defines as your wheels stopped moving before the white line. DDOT says a flash doesn't necessarily mean a driver is ticketed, since human examiners vet each video before a ticket is sent. But look at what else our camera captured. Vehicle after vehicle not fully stopping, rolling through the intersection, even stopping in the crosswalk, yet no flash.
I think they need to recalibrate the camera.
Renee Bowser says her advisory neighborhood commission has heard so many complaints it passed a resolution calling the camera a revenue generating initiative.
It's an enforcement tool that's penalizing people for living in this area.
Based on the ticket numbers in just 2 months, that camera raised close to $1 million.
We want the money to be refunded to them fully.
The neighbors don't want the camera removed. They say it is needed for safety.
I just hope that the city works with us, because that's what we want. We want to work together to come up with some sort of resolution.
But they shouldn't have to avoid an intersection in their own neighborhood or make a 14-second stop like this driver did. In Petworth, Jody Fleischer, News 4 I-Team.
Some D.C. council members are calling for action to address a stop sign camera that has drivers avoiding a local intersection.
The News 4 I-Team first told you about how tickets skyrocketed in a Northwest neighborhood after the city upgraded the camera there. Investigative reporter Jody Fleischer has more on the possible solutions.
This stop sign camera has been here since 2013. Neighbors requested it for safety. But now some of those same neighbors are asking district leaders to pump the brakes after the I-Team revealed a dramatic rise in tickets last year.
If you live in or drive through the Petworth neighborhood of Northwest D.C., you probably know about this stop sign camera at Kansas Avenue and Buchanan Street.
It has to be something wrong.
The city says it upgraded the camera back in June.
I came to a complete stop.
But the tickets certainly have not.
I've received 2 tickets on the same day.
The I-Team tracked 2 months from 2019. This camera had just over 450 tickets. Compare that to the same time in 2020, almost 9,000 tickets, an 1,800% increase. DDOT told the I-Team the camera is working properly and that the ticket spike may be because it now operates around the clock instead of just daytime.
Our goal shouldn't be to get revenue from our community in the amounts that we are getting, and I think that's one of the key issues.
D.C. Council members Janice Lewis George and Mary Che have heard the complaints too and met with the Department of Transportation's interim director to discuss solutions.
The arm pointing down saying stop here.
Like possible signage or a rumble strip to alert drivers that they must stop before the white line to avoid a ticket.
You want to make sure people are not thinking that this is about money raising, and you also don't want it to be, a gotcha situation, an unfair situation.
Both council members say more notice should be given to residents when cameras are upgraded, especially if it makes them more sensitive.
The citations in that next 2 weeks that it's operating should be warning citations because people are taken by surprise.
A DDOT technician said at least 2 other cameras also saw an increase in tickets after an upgrade. The I-Team found this southeast camera at 27th and R went from almost 250 tickets over 3 months in 2019 to almost 10,000 tickets in late 2020.
People are frustrated. People are frustrated in a pandemic.
Back in Petworth, ANC Commissioner Jonathan Noble is hopeful. Hearing possible changes down the road could help his neighbors.
Multiple people that I've talked to have, $400, $600, $800 worth of tickets.
The penalty piece is something that's key here, especially during the pandemic where families are facing so many economic hardships.
And the cost of those tickets is another issue they'd like to look at. The fines start at $100 and can increase after 30 days. Councilmember Che says increasing the fines does not increase compliance. In Petworth, Jody Fleischer, News 4 I-Team.
A D.C. council member says promised improvements to better warn drivers about D.C.'s most lucrative stop sign camera have not been delivered, despite what the Department of Transportation has been telling angry residents.
In February, the News 4 I-Team first exposed the sharp rise in tickets that began last summer. Investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is in D.C.'s Petworth neighborhood with what's happened since then.
The camera that watches this one stop sign has brought in nearly $3.5 million since it was upgraded last summer. Folks who live around here tell me they feel targeted. In April, a council member suggested installing a sign right here pointing at this white line, warning drivers that they need to stop completely before it to avoid getting a ticket. Instead, DDOT has rattled off a list of fixes neighbors say don't address the problem.
Anyone who lives near or drives through the intersection of Kansas Avenue and Buchanan Street should know about this stop sign. Drivers who've been burned before often stop so long they get honked at. But the News 4 I-Team found the length of the stop isn't usually the problem.
It's just the sensitivity. You cross the line a little bit. And the thing is that they don't even let you know right when it has happened.
Sarah Almgren says she got 4 tickets just days apart and weeks after the violations happened. She picks up her daughter here at Haynes Elementary every day.
Now I make a U-turn to go back because I want to avoid it.
In February, the I-Team showed how the camera flashed at car after car after car, even after they stopped completely. Yet some cars rolled right on through without a flash. Since then, DDOT added the words "stop ahead" on the pavement. That was done before Councilmember Mary Che visited the intersection in April, asking for a better warning.
The arm pointing down saying stop here.
In an email last week, DDOT told Che and residents improvements had already been made, citing that stop ahead wording and rumble strips in the 4500 block of Kansas. But those are on the opposite side of the street from the camera and lead to a different intersection.
Give a person some warning, just a little more information or something. I don't know. It has to be a better way other than writing $100 tickets.
Tawanda Lucas just got one of those tickets in May. She says a sign warning drivers to completely stop before the white line would be helpful.
I haven't seen anything, any indication of that up here at all. Nothing, no signs, no strips. I mean, you go slow because it's a school and it's a complete stop for the stop sign.
In that email, DDOT also said the agency added an additional photo enforcement sign, but we checked the blocks leading up to the camera and only saw this one. The tickets from this camera just began skyrocketing last summer, averaging more than 115 a day.
I don't think that's fair at all, and especially in a pandemic. Like, people are struggling as it is.
The ticket numbers from this camera have dropped over the last couple of months, which a DDOT spokesperson says could be because of added awareness since our first story back in February. She says there's been no adjustment to the camera's sensitivity and that video of each violation is reviewed before tickets are sent. Jody Fleischer, News 4 I-Team.
Well, we were just boiling about this one. New rules just went into effect to give drivers a break when they're caught by some D.C. traffic cameras.
Yeah, those newly installed or upgraded cameras will now come with a 2-week grace period before drivers are ticketed. The move comes after the News 4 I-Team exposed questions about how the cameras were operating.
Investigative reporter Jody Fleischer has more on the reason for the new policy.
This is the camera that kicked off all the commotion at Kansas and Buchanan near Petworth. Driver after driver told the I-Team about ticket after ticket, even when they said they completely stopped.
It has to be something wrong.
A camera upgrade last summer made the technology more sensitive, but because of the lag time for tickets to be reviewed and mailed, some drivers racked up several before they even knew they'd been caught.
I've received 2 tickets on the same day.
The I-Team found that one camera generated about $3.5 million worth of tickets in less than a year, prompting a visit this spring from Councilmember Mary Che, who heads the district's transportation committee.
You know, there's a notion that with the level of these fines and the lack of fair warning, that it's a moneymaker instead of a safety measure.
Che says she's not opposed to stop sign cameras in general, and if they actually get drivers to stop, that makes us all safer. But she'd like to see those $100 fines lowered and better signage warning drivers.
Really, it's only fair.
But in this letter to Che, D.C.'s Department of Transportation director said he can't install the signs she wants, warning drivers to stop here with an arrow pointing to the stop bar on the road, similar to this one for a red light. DDOT says that is not recommended in this federal manual for signage.
What happens is people, even if they think it's a stop sign camera, don't know about going over that line.
One thing DDOT has now agreed to do is issue warnings for the first 2 weeks of any new camera placement or upgrade, like this intersection at 37th and Whitehaven in Northwest, to give drivers a chance to get used to it before they're ticketed.
I'm quite happy that they made this change.
That won't help drivers who've already gotten tickets, but Che says it's a start. DDOT is also painting words on the pavement and adding standalone signage closer to the cameras.
It doesn't help the government, I don't think, to lose confidence or for people to think that we're out there to try to steal their money and trap them, with these cameras. What we want is we want them to comply.
DDOT's director declined our request for an interview, but said the new grace period should help acclimate drivers to the camera's presence and prevent illegal driving. And the new signage and street markings should help bolster safety at these intersections. Jody Fleischer, News 4 I-Team.